Hi everyone, my name is Katherine and this is Katherine Stitching Chronicles, my channel where I talk about my love of all things cross stitch. I hope you've all been enjoying a fun and restful holiday season. I know I sure have. Today is December 31st and I'm finally sitting down to film my 2024 end of year WIP parade. I love a good WIP parade. They're some of my favorite videos to watch, so I'm really excited to be filming this for you today. I wanted to wait until the very last day of 2024 to film this so I could get in as much progress as I could, and now finally here we are. So I have 20 WIPs to share with you today. I'll be honest, I actually kind of thought I had more than that, but 20 is what I have. However, I did work on a lot of other projects this year because I also had a lot of finishes. And if you're interested in seeing what those are, you can head over and check out my 2024 finish parade, which I just posted a couple of days ago. So today we'll go through all the WIPs, and I will be showing them all in the order that I started them. So most of them I started in 2024 and 2023, but my very first one is one that I started in 2021. So I have my list here with all my projects and kind of information about them. So I will be referring to that a little bit. And without any further ado, let's get into it. So we're starting off strong with a Mirabilia. This is Zelda. So this is the project that I have that I started back in May of 2021. So back at this time I was, just drop the pattern. I was a monogamous stitcher, so I had stitched another fairly large project and I discovered Mirabilias and I got a little bit overconfident, I think. And I started this and I did a decent amount on it, and then I just kind of got tired of working on it and felt a little bit overwhelmed by it. And anyway, I set it aside for a really long time. And then in the last couple of years, I've really been hit hard by the stitching bug. And it's back in my WIP rotation now and I love it. So this is where she's at. A little bit creased in the middle there, but you get the idea. So this is, I don't even know what this is. It's either a 14 or a 16 count Ada. I don't remember, and I don't know what it is. But I just bought it at my LNS. It's beautiful. I love pinks and purples, so the colors are definitely up my alley. And I mean, it's beautiful. All mirrors are beautiful. So this one was on my WIP Go board this year, and it will be on my WIP Go board again in 2025. So hopefully I'll get a decent amount done on her this year as well. I don't have any particular like goals, or like I don't want to finish this by a certain date or anything. I'm just happy to have it in my WIPs. It would be nice to have it done before some of my other ones just because it is a little bit older, but it also doesn't really bother me, so it'll get done when it gets done. It's more about the process is what I'm learning about myself. I like the process. I like the finishes too, but I like the process, so. Okay, my next project is another Mirabilia. So this is Queen Bee, and I started this one in January 2023. And this is where she's at. So I'm stitching this on the called for linen. It's called Chestnut. And I believe this is a 28 count, which is my preferred count for these kinds of fancy ladies. I love her. I think like I got to start on her dress this fall, and I mean those reds are just stunning. So same thing with this one. She is on my WIP Go board again in 2025. How did I have this folded? There we If you're interested in knowing what all of my plans for 2025 are, I posted that video a few days ago as well. So definitely go check that out. I'll talk about my WIP Go plans and stitch alongs and everything else. So go check that out if you're interested. All right, my next WIP is my first Bella Filipina. So this is Phoenix Queen, and I started this one in April 2023. So this one I currently have in a scroll frame because I finished all of the stitching earlier this year, and now I'm working on the beading, and I like to do my beading in a scroll frame. So you won't be able to see the full thing, but this is kind of what is visible right now. So this is 28 count Peach Blossoms Lugana from Forbidden Fiber Co. And yeah, like I said, all of the stitching is finished. So now I'm working on the back stitch and beads. So everything that's rolled up in the top is completely finished. So like I finished her head and the little thing that she's holding. And I finished this wing as well. So now I'm getting to start down on that cape, which is all beads. So this is gonna be so beautiful when she's finished. I had initially kind of hoped to have this done this year. Obviously that didn't happen, but I definitely want to finish this in 2025 because I'm dying to have it finished and have it up on my wall. So hopefully I can make that happen. My next WIP is Bountiful Blooms from Carolyn Manning, and I started this one in June 2023. So this, I'm stitching this on 25 count Lugana in the color Apricot. I think it shows up a little bit kind of washed out on camera, but in person it's just a really nice kind of pale peachy color. And I want to have something with a little bit of color because there's actually a bit of negative space in between all of those blocks of stitching. So I wanted something with a little bit of color that would show through. So this is my first time stitching on 25 count, possibly also my first time stitching with like one thread. Usually I stitch with 2 strands. And I really, really love it. I think it just looks so nice and dainty. And I really do love this one. Unfortunately, I didn't work on it at all this year. It was on my WIP Go board, but the month that it was called, I just had a lot of other stuff going on. Like I started 3 stitch alongs that all basically started like within a week or 2 of each other. And I had a really big gift for my fiance that I needed to finish. So all of those things like really took over my stitching time. And I never got to this one, which is too bad really. So hopefully I will have some time to stitch on it next year. And get a little more progress in on it. All right, my next WIP is also on a scroll frame, but luckily you can see the whole thing. So this is Shabby Chic Christmas Tree from Shannon Christine Designs. There we go. So this is actually almost done. I started this in October 2023, and I worked on it quite a bit in October, November, a little bit in December, and I have not touched it now in over a year. Literally all I have left is the beading around the top part of the border and like the very top of the tree. So like it's really not going to take me that long to finish. I just have to do it. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 14 count Aida that I just had in my stash. I have no idea what it is or where it came from. I inherited stash from a lot of different people, and it was just in a pile of stuff that I had. So I think it works perfectly for this. And this is another one I'd like to finish in 2025, just so that it can be done, because I mean, it's kind of pathetic. There's really not that much left. So 2025 finish, hopefully. All right, my next WIP is another Carolyn Manning. So this is Opal. I love this collection from her. They're just so beautiful and interesting to look at. So I'm stitching this on white 18 count Aida, and I'm at about 14%, I believe. So not a bad start. These are also just like really satisfying to stitch onto, like just the geometric, you know, diamonds and triangles. It's very, very simple, and yeah, just very satisfying. So this is another one that hopefully I can work on a little bit next year. I love all the colors, like all the pastels are just really lovely. So really like this one. All right, my next WIP is Queen Bee Quaker from Yasmins Made with Love. And this is where it's at. So I'm stitching this on 20 count hibiscus lugana from Fiber on a Whim. And I'm at about 26% complete. I'm not gonna stitch the alphabet and like the numbers that are just in the background. I'm just gonna do like the letters that spell out queen, and then of course the B, but I'm not gonna do the other letters and stuff. I really like this. Oops, just thread hanging down. I'd never really stitched like a kind of Quaker design before, so this was a first for me. And I really liked it. So I started this one in January. No, I started it in December 2023, December 30th. And I forgot to say, but Opal I started on Christmas Day in 2023. So I got both of these started before the end of 2023. And I have not worked on them since January this year. So 2025 maybe. All right, my next WIP is the 2024 Heaven and Earth Design Stitch Along. So the design that I chose was a small portion of the chart Merry Mushroom Village Picnic, I believe it's called. It's artwork by Amy Stewart. So this is where I got to. I believe I'm at 50.6% complete. So just barely past the halfway mark. My goal for 2024 was to finish 4 full pages, which is exactly what I did. I'll show it to you later in this video, but I also decided to sign up for the 2025 Paid Stitch Along. So initially I was thinking that I might try to finish this one in 2025, but with the other style going on, I am not going to be able to do that. So I'm not sure what my plans are for finishing this, but I love it. I just love the colors in this. And this is my first Paid. So I'm pretty proud of how it looks. So my next WIP is from the Bella Filipina Treasures collection. So the treasures are basically like mini Bellas, and you buy them through Facebook. There's a specific Facebook group for it, and you order them through there. They're not available at, well, they're not available anywhere else. So I've bought a few of them, and the only one that I've started is Coraline. So this is what I have done on her so far. And I'm just stitching this on a scrap of navy 14 count Aida that I had. And I love how all the colors really, really pop. This is another one that I kind of hope to finish this year, but didn't end up happening. I started this in April of this year. I started it on the last day of Stitch North. I started on the Sunday morning, and then I stitched the entire train ride home from Stitch North as well. So that's where I got most of my progress. Next up, I have another Bella Filipina, and this is erja. And I started this one in July 2024. So I don't have a lot on her yet, but I'm very excited to work on this one. This is actually one of my WIP Go projects for January. So I get to work on it next month. Yay. There we go. This is what I've got done on her so far. And I'm stitching this on 20 count resolution Lugana from Forbidden Fiber Co. This is definitely a bit out there for me as a fabric choice, but I really love it. And as soon as I got it, this was a fabric of the month. And the second I opened it, I thought, I think I know what I want to stitch on here. So she's gonna be beautiful. I know that much. My next WIP is called Happy Halloween, and it's from a shop called Love for Cross Stitch on Etsy, and that's like LUV for the number 4 cross stitch on Etsy. And thread on the back. This is where I'm at. So I'm stitching this on 18 count Sterling Aida from Picture This Plus. I love this fabric. I think it's beautiful. And I think it works really, really well for this. I'm not sure if you'll really be able to like tell on camera, but this background bit, there's a lot of like half stitches. So there's a couple blends in there, and there's different numbers of strands as well. So there's some like half stitches that are, you know, 2 strands, 3 strands. So it gives it a really interesting look. Like it's just got a lot of dimension, which is really interesting. And I'm at about 25% complete on this. So this is not kind of my typical project, I would say, like not the usual kind of thing that I stitch, but I was just really drawn to it for some reason, and I really love it. So that's Happy Halloween. My next WIP is a Study in Pink from the Artsy Housewife. And I was inspired to do this one by Marjorie Maid, because she started this earlier this year, and I just thought it was really, really beautiful. So I bought the chart and the full floss conversion from Roxy Floss Co. While I was at Stitch North. And I bought fabric there as well. So this is 32 count porcelain linen. Hang on, that's really creased. Tell I haven't worked on this in a while because it's really keeping the folds in there. So I think I only worked on this once, actually. I kind of started it on a whim during the Midsummer Stitch, which was a virtual retreat hosted by Lindy Stitches. And there was a meet and greet session with Thread Gremlins. And I think at least 2 of them were working on charts from the Artsy Housewife as well. So I said, I want to start my Artsy Housewife chart. And I did. So I didn't get very far on it, but this is one that I say the same thing about all of my charts. I'm like, I'm so excited and I really want to work on this next year, but it's true. I do really want to work on this next year. The floss is just so gorgeous. Like, look at these colors. I love this purple. And the pinks, like, come on. I love them. So, hopefully, get some FaceTime with this chart this year. We'll see. All right, so Study in Pink, I started in July, and this next one I also started in July. This is my last new start of July. And this is the Dark Queen of the Sea from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And this is the progress that I have on her so far. So this is a piece of 28 count Lugana from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. I just thought it was such a unique piece of fabric, and the colors would just work really well for her. this is my other January WIP Go project. So I will also be working on this one next month, which I'm super excited about. My next WIP is from Nora Corbett, and it is Wisteria. And I started this one in September this year. So I'm stitching her with all the called for DMC and whatnot on this piece of 28 count Lugana from Forbidden Fiber Co. And the colorway is called Nacreous. I don't think the colors really show up all that well on camera, but it's just kind of this lightly mottled, like various pastel colors. It's really cool. I love her dress. I love all Nora Corbett's. They're so petite and pretty and fun, and like these flower inspired ones are just so gorgeous. So yeah, I really love this one. And if I may say, I mean, I like to think that my stitching is like relatively tidy a lot of the time, but I feel like my stitches look really good on this. So not bad. So my next WIP I started in October, and that is Beezy Spring from Cottage Garden Samplings. I saw this in someone else's WIP parade, or like one of those really quick like WIP kind of flip throughs on Instagram. So I just saw the chart for like a second and I thought, wow, I love that. So literally just based on that, I started Googling like bee charts, bee samplers with crown, like just Googling random stuff, and I was able to find it, which is hilarious. So yeah, I started this in October, and this is where I got to. So this is the called for fabric. It's 40 count ancient from Picture This Plus. And using the called for DMCs, and there is one fancy floss in here as well, which is chamomile from the Gentle Art. But I haven't gotten to the part where I use this yet, but that'll be on there eventually. I really like this. Something about this one just really spoke to me, and I really enjoyed stitching on it. This was my first time stitching on 40 count, which was a little intimidating at first, but I ended up really liking it. And I have one other project right now on 40 count, which you'll see in a bit. And I want to do more because I really like it. It's just so petite, so petite. And it looks so good. So big fan of this one. So my next WIP is an ongoing stitch along. And this is the Blackwater Sirens Sal from Bella Filipina Designs. I love Bella's, I love Sal's. So of course, as soon as this was announced, I was like, yep, doing that. So this is a 9-part Sal. Part 4 was just released yesterday. So I've gotten a very small start on part 4, but I've stitched parts 1 through 3. Well, I've done all the DMC stitching on parts 1 through 3. I'm still waiting to receive my specialty threads in the mail. And then I'll probably gonna do the beading at the end. So this is beautiful. Like, it's so dark and moody and beautiful, and I just love it. It's gorgeous. It's gonna be huge though, like it's ginormous. I'm stitching this on a piece of 28 count linen that I dyed myself, which was a very successful experiment, if I may say so myself. So I really love this. Each time a new part drops, I like audibly gasp because they're just incredible. Like part 4 with the red hair, Love it. And I'm so excited to get my specialty threads in the mail because I am simply dying to get some sparkle on here. Because there's so much sparkle with the threads and then all the beads as well. Like, it's gonna be so blingy, and I love doing all the embellishments. So loving this one. And before I forget, this started on October 31st. So I started it on October 31st and the sale will run until I believe the last part comes out in April. So I've still got several months of fun to come with this one. So my next whip is another Bella, and this is Luna Mystica. And she's just beautiful. Finally started this one in December. I've had the chart for quite a while, and I've had it fully kitted up for a long time, and finally started it. And I did not want to put this one down. You'll see why. Look at how stunning this is. Ah, I love it. It's gorgeous. So this is 28 count Mystic Lugana from Picture This Plus. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with this. So this was one of my WIP projects for December. So my goal was to work on it 10 times throughout the month, which I did. So I would like to continue working on it, but as I've said, I mean, I have a lot of plans for 2025. So I might not get another chance to work on it until I pull it for WIP Go 2025, whenever it is chosen. But in December, I was able to do like her tail all the way up here until where her skin starts. And then as you can see, like some of the flowers in the moon, and I did a little bit of her hair as well. So I'm really happy with the progress I made in December. Next time I pull her out, I haven't decided if I want to move up or if I want to move down. So I'll decide when I get there, but this is probably one of my favorite whips. I love it so much. So much. She's gorgeous. I would say that of like all the fancy ladies, mermaids, whatever, that I have, this is probably like number 2 in priority of which ones I want to finish first. Like I want to finish Phoenix Queen first. She will be finished first. And I think I want to finish this one next. I just love it so much. So my next whip is another December start and was a Jingle Ball exclusive. And that is the Holiday Wreath Drum from Tiny Modernist. So I saw a preview of this design before the Jingle Ball, and like just seeing the pictures, I knew I wanted to buy it and start it immediately, and that's exactly what I did. So this is what I have done so far. I am stitching this on just a random piece of 14 count blue Aida that I had. I don't know what it is or where it came from. I think I'm about 20% of the way through, maybe thereabouts. There's kind of 2 parts to this. There's the whole side part, and then there's the like bow motif that goes on the top as well. So I like this one. It's an easy stitch, you know, it's not super complicated, so it's great to just like sit down and do kind of some of these bigger blocks of stitching. Now that we're kind of out of the holidays, I'm not sure I'm going to work on this again until kind of like the Christmas season next year, but who knows, maybe I'll feel inspired between now and then to get a little progress on it. But I'm not gonna hold myself to it either. Right, so my last two WIPs are both new starts from the last couple of days. So, I got my threads organized here. This is my start on the 2025 Haid Stitch Along. So the chart that I chose is called Jelly World, and they very kindly released the chart a couple of days early, so I did get a little bit of a head start on it. And so far I have done 1,215 stitches, which isn't bad for a couple days. I love how it looks so far. If I'm being honest, I feel like it looks a little bit messy up close. I am doing this 2/1 tent stitch on 28 count pre-gridded lugana, which is what I'm doing for my other Haid as well. But for this one, I decided that I really want to work on my ability to do two-handed stitching, because I have scroll frames, I have key snaps that I put on my Lowry stand, and like the whole point of having a stand holding your work is that you don't have to hold it, and then like you can use two hands. And that's something that I want to get better at. So for this one, I'm really trying to do two-handed stitching. And it's going pretty well. It's like a little bit slower, but I feel like for some reason I'm just struggling with getting my tension right. Like I feel like my tension isn't quite even on all of my stitches, and I do tend to kind of twist the needle a little bit more. So I'm working on it, and I mean, this is the whole thing, right? Like I want to get better at it, and if I don't practice it, I'm not going to get better at it. So I already feel like it's trying to improve a little bit as I'm coming across, but there are definitely a couple spots in here where I just think, well, not quite as tidy as I'd like. But again, from far away, it looks perfectly fine. So not too worried about it. My goal for this one is to get a 6 full page finish. That's what they've decided is the threshold this year. So if you finish 6 full pages, you will get the other 11 charts that were offered through the style. So the stakes are a little bit higher this year, or rather the work you have to do is more. The charts are bigger than they were in 2024. I think like the 2024 style that I have is between 61 and 62,000 stitches. This one is going to be around 90,000 stitches. And to get the first reward in 2024, you had to complete 4 full pages of stitching. This year you have to do 6 full pages. So that's quite a bit. And all the more reason for me to be happy that we had a couple of extra days. So taking into account what I've done so far, which is just over 1,200 stitches, I've estimated the total number of stitches I need to do in order to finish 6 pages next year. I'm estimating it's going to be around 45,000 stitches minus the 1,215 that I've already done. And then I'm splitting it over the stitches I need to do over 11 months rather than 12, just because like with my wedding next year and then a fairly lengthy honeymoon and just like other life stuff I have going on, I'm not going to be working on this for at least a month, if not longer. Like all of that time together is gonna take away from my stitching, right? So I'm estimating that I have to do about 4,000 stitches a month for 11 months next year. Am I gonna do that? Who knows? I think I'm gonna give it a couple of months, you know, see how it goes in like January and February. And if it's really not working, then I'm not gonna stress myself out about it. But going into 2025, that's the plan. So we'll see what happens. So my final WIP is another chart from the Artsy Housewife, and that is Within a Dream, which is at the moment a Patreon exclusive. So I'm stitching this with my friend who is Stitchy Mess named Jess over on Instagram. She's a lot further than I am, but I got a small start on it. So this is a piece of 40 count linen from Forbidden Fiber Co. It is a mist-dye. She sold some like mixed bags of mist-dyed fabric a couple months ago, and this was one of the ones that I got. So it's not something that you can buy, but I thought it would work really well for this kind of, you know, mottled gray and beige. So for this one, I'm using kind of a mix of flosses here. Oops, sorry. Kind of tangled. 1 second. So I'm using some of the called for gentle arts. So I'm using acorn, currant, dragonfly, moss, and old purple paint. So these 5 here. This one, dragonfly, is so pretty. I'm using those. There are some called for DMC. I also subbed in a couple of DMC, and then I also subbed in a couple of other fancy flosses that I had in my stash. So I'm also using Spanish moss from Weeks Dye Works and onion skin from Classic Colorworks. So really a mix of things, but I mean, it's such a gorgeous color palette. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot done. Let me see how much I've done here. Yeah, I'm at 2.4%, so big whoop. But this chart is so beautiful, and really love how it's looking so far, even though there's really not much to go off of. So that concludes my 2024 end of year WIP parade. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of my projects, and I wish you and your friends and family all the best as we head into 2025. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.